And now let's try and tune in to no good music from an undisclosed location somewhere in New Jersey. That style, playing guitar.
When that comes on, you're out on the dance floor.
Sammy still rocks, man.
Am I going to listen to this again?
And that's definitely going to be a theme.
You can't make this shit up.
No.
He's a villain, a real mixer, and it cost you a fortune in breach of promise cases. Get on. No, straight up.
Hey everybody, welcome to No Good Music. I am Rob.
And this is Matt.
And we are on show 6-7.
Yeah, getting up there.
And today we are going to be talking about the movie A Hard Day's Night.
That's right.
From 1964, celebrating 60 years.
The Beatles!
And Matt just watched it for the first time.
That's right. I had not seen it before.
I've seen it a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to tell you all about the movie, and we'll also go into the soundtrack for the movie. I've always enjoyed watching this movie. It captures the Beatles. 1964 was a huge year for the Beatles.
Right. First impressions, like when I saw it, takes me back actually a little bit to when I was a kid in the mid-70s, maybe, 10 years old, going to my grandfather's and watching the Monkees. Watching, I don't know if it's reruns or not, but
yeah.
it's that quirky running around, bits as far as the plot line,
Mm-hmm.
Let's gather together, let's play a show, someone gets lost. But, I'm just saying, it just as a feel, this is not a documentary, first of all.
I always thought that the Monkees got their idea as far as the quirkiness.
Mm-hmm.
There was 4 of them, there was 4 of the Beatles.
Right.
How it was filmed, how the Monkees show was filmed,
mm-hmm.
with the one-liners, the comebacks.
Yeah. You got a manager, you got everybody except Grandpa. I mean,
Yeah.
The Monkees didn't have Grandpa.
And I think of Mickey Dolenz as more the John Lennon,
right,
with the witty, comebacks.
Yeah.
Actually, before we get into the movie itself, I have a timeline, a little bit of a timeline from up until the movie's released.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot going on. Right from the beginning, January 3rd, 1964, Please Please Me, first U.S. single released. January 10th, Introducing the Beatles released, first studio album in the U.S.
Wow.
The 16th of January, the Beatles start an 18-day residency at the Olympia in Paris, which ends on February 4th. January 20th, Meet the Beatles released the second studio album.
In January.
Now,
awesome.
What I'm thinking is I don't know everything about the Beatles. Hardly, I don't know as much as some of my friends that are historians, but I'm assuming that the UK released, maybe not with the same names, but with these songs, and that's why soon after we got the first album and the second album.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they were already recorded and ready to go. They might have been a combination of a couple different UK albums. So then we have February 1st, I Want to Hold Your Hand reaches number 1 on the Billboard charts in the U.S. February 3rd, Twist and Shout is released in Canada, which is the second album. So they did give them different names.
Huh.
February 7th, All My Loving released, which was an EP, only in UK, Sweden, Australia, and New Zealand. February 7th, the Beatles arrive at John F. Kennedy International Airport, New York.
Yeah.
To screaming fans.
Yeah.
So here we had 2 albums come out, back to back almost, within weeks, and they were huge. And then the Beatles arrive. They're here.
Right, and even in their documentary that I was listening to, a little bit of documentary, some statements from the Beatles, they even recognized, yes, we were doing a lot. Like we were super busy. Just going. Yeah.
Well, they were, we figured, they were in their 20s.
Yeah, I figured from their birth dates, they were 20 to 24.
Yeah.
20, 23, and 22, 23, and 24. Yeah, so young.
And John and Ringo were the oldest.
Yeah, born in 1940.
Yeah, and I think George was the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was probably 22.
Yeah, 22. Yeah, that's right.
I can't imagine. I always think this with people that become hugely famous at such a young age, what we were doing when we were
right.
that age. We were just...
And it throws me off a little bit because they are at the point of wearing the suits and ties and patent leather shoes and the whole works. And I don't know, it just kind of makes them look older. I'm just trying to picture, my kids who are right now 23, 24 and 25. I'm trying to picture them. Like no one dresses like that.
Yeah.
When we were that age, we weren't dressing in suits and ties and running around wildly.
They were clean.
Yeah.
Which we'll mention later.
They're so clean. They look clean.
Yeah.
It's very clean.
I mean, we'll do more Beatles podcasts too, where we can talk more about maybe the transition.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
That would be the apparel transition, not the gender transition.
Yeah, from leather to wool or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So where were we? Let's see. We have 2 days later, after they arrive, the Beatles make their first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. We have talked to a couple people that actually saw this. Most exciting. I mean, there's not many. If I look back on like TV stuff, probably for me was Kiss with that. I want to say that awful movie, but it's become like a cult classic, The Phantom of the Park.
Yeah.
I remember like really excited to see Kiss on TV.
Yeah. Back, on TV programming, for those who are a generation younger than us, you either saw it or you missed it. You don't see it again.
Yeah.
Like there's no streaming. If it wasn't recorded and sold to you on, well, there was no VHS yet. So you either saw it live, which was special, or you missed it,
Yeah, and early on in TV, they actually, I think, copied over whatever, or they got rid of, especially with the one I can think of is the Honeymooners. There's lost episodes, which they call, but there's actually lost episodes that no one can find. They aired once.
Yeah, someone stole the tape. Someone stole the tape, or like you were saying, they could have recorded over it.
Yeah. So then we have March 16th. So we're jumping a whole month ahead. Can't Buy Me Love. You Can't Do That was released in the U.S. March 23rd. Do You Want to Know a Secret? Thank You Girl, released in the U.S. The first EP, March 23rd. Of the Beatles in the U.S. was Souvenir. It's called Souvenir of Their Visit to America. First EP.
Yeah.
And then April 10th, we had the Beatles' second album released, is their third in the U.S. And I had these albums out. I don't have them now to show Matt, but I do have some of them. I just recently got that one. April 19th, Around the Beatles is aired in the UK. Maybe that was a TV show or documentary.
It's amazing when you give me those song titles, when it's like so many are hits. 3/4 of them are ones that growing up in the US, well, anywhere around pop culture, like they're hits, like forever. And it's just amazing that the title after song title after song title.
Well, I think even with like Can't Buy Me Love, and on the flip side was You Can't Do That.
Yeah.
I think that was probably a hit too.
Yeah, I know both of them really well. Not buying albums years ago, just knowing them from radio play over decades.
Because on April 27th, you have Love Me Do, which we all know, and P.S. I Love You is on the other side. It was released in the U.S. So then by July 6th, which actually we are recording on the anniversary, which is cool, of the release of the movie in the UK.
And that's exactly 60 years to the day.
Yeah, July 6th, 1964. And then in the US, the movie was released on June, what did I say, July 6th? Where are we? No, that must be the album. Scratch that. Okay, yeah, June 26th. The U.S. actually released the soundtrack before the movie came out. In the UK, they didn't release it till it was released the same day, July 6th. There are 2 soundtracks to the movie.
There's 2 different soundtracks.
Yes, and I have them, and I will show them to Matt when we get to that. So again, the movie was released on July 6th, and it was released at the Pavilion Theater. And I looked up this theater it did close in 1981. Madame Tussauds moved in there at one point after they kind of gutted the place. In 2000, the building became part of the Trocadero Center, and then it housed Ripley's Believe It or Not, just in case you want a history of the theater, until 2017. And then in 2018, October, I don't know if people know about this, but Body Worlds London opened. I remember this. I wanted to go see it, not, in London.
Is this the anatomy lesson?
Yes.
Yes, I've heard about this. First came out in Chicago, I think.
200 real human bodies.
Yeah.
And organ specimens. They were preserved.
Wow.
Yeah. And I guess they're preserved, it says, through plastination, probably a clear plastic.
Wow. And it's called Body Works, is that right?
Yeah, Body Works.
I've got to see that sometime.
Well, this says Body Worlds, unless I typed it wrong.
Okay.
So the movie is 87 minutes. So that's a good, it's not too long, not too short. The budget at the time was £189,000.
Yeah.
I have the equivalent of 529,000 US. It made 11 million. And I don't know, I'm thinking it's made more than that by now. I don't know when this 11 million was calculated.
But going from 500,000 to 11 million.
Yeah. So it's considered a musical comedy. There is a lot of comedy in it.
A lot of slapstick, a lot of British humor, British phrases.
Oh, yeah.
We can talk about,
So the film actually is it's in order. Portrays 36 hours in the life of the group as they prepare for a television performance. They don't really show them sleeping. That was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, including Best Original Screenplay. And 40 years after its release, Time magazine rated it as one of the 100 all-time great films. And now we'll get into the plot a little bit. The Beatles, the beginning, I think, like I said, I'll say this a couple times probably or more, that it captures. Like, I don't think there's many bands, unless they're doing a movie like this, where basically the Beatles are playing themselves. They're literally...
So all 4 are there, but we don't have the original Brian Epstein as manager or...
No, Brian, he's not in...
Yeah, we don't have other original people. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's other actors playing the manager, the road manager.
The sweater man, the TV producer. Yeah.
Right from the beginning, they're being chased by a horde of girls.
Yeah.
And they board a train.
Yeah, and they do at the train and station and also somewhere else, they do the whole into a car, into the back seat, and out again into another car. It's kind of a running, Keystone Cops meets Monkeys, Yeah.
They're on the train for, I don't know how long in the movie.
And that's where we meet Grandpa.
Yeah.
It's Paul McCartney says, "Oh, that's just my grandpa." And they say, "Oh, I know your grandpa. That's not him." He says, it's my other grandpa.
Yeah. I have another grandpa.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah. This is Paul. Yeah, so they're on the train and they're trying to, I don't know, there's some shenanigans. I thought it was cool though. They're opening different car doors,
Oh yeah, all kinds of stuff.
But the one where there's a bunch of girls, and they recognize the Beatles. They're speechless too. They hardly say anything. And I don't know if back then, if you had a line in a movie, you had to belong to a union like you do now. So what's most interesting to me is Patricia Boyd was a model, and she had an agent, and I think she just preferred modeling and it wasn't really an actress or anything. But she was asked to go, I don't know if she had to audition or just show up. They just were looking for pretty girls, I guess. But Patty Boyd, I think she shot the movie for 2 days. And the first day, George Harrison was wanting to go on a date with her. And she had a boyfriend. And I think she went home and told her girlfriends, and I don't know, the guy she was dating, I don't know how long she was dating him, but...
We should find him and interview him. No, I'm sorry, he's probably gone.
Yeah. it sounded like she was pretty much done with the boyfriend. And here's George Harrison of the Beatles.
Right. Now, she is one of the first ones that's seen there on the train, right? She's with her friend, I believe.
Yeah, they're sitting at a little booth table. Two girls sitting across from each other. And then you see her at one point, the grandfather, Paul's grandfather, he gets in some trouble, or he's in a car with a woman. Yeah. He's a lonely old man, we find out in the beginning. Right. And he's clean.
Right. So I suspect that he was once thought of as a dirty old man.
Yeah, let me find this about him.
Yeah, I think that's the running joke. So he is clean shaven, but they do a lot of zooming in on Paul's grandfather.
They're all clean.
Yeah. But he's particularly clean. This clean old man. Yeah.
He comes across as creepy though, because the camera just keeps zooming. Yeah. There's a scene with the grandfather and Ringo.
Yeah, and it gets closer.
And I think they're closer. And I think the camera's going to hit Ringo. I mean, there are some nose jokes in the movie.
Yeah, we see a little too much of the teeth of the grandfather's teeth.
Okay, so the actor, he's Irish. His name is Wilfred Bramble, who played Paul McCartney's fictional grandfather. John McCartney, that was his name. Now, he was already known to British television audiences as the co-star of the sitcom Steptoe and Son. Okay. Now, the reoccurring joke that he was very clean reflects a contrast to his sitcom role, where he was always referred to as a dirty old man.
Okay. Yeah. And there's many times that he's referred to as clean. There'll be a stranger, and they meet for the first time, and this woman says, well, he is clean. It's probably 10 times throughout the movie.
Now, interestingly enough, is that for American audiences, the comment was more of a spoof on the Beatles continually being referenced as very clean.
Right.
Yeah. So back to, let's see here. Where were we? Okay, the plot. There's not much of a plot. They're trying to get to this, TV show.
A live one, yes. And in the midst of that, Ringo comes up missing. But the reason he comes up missing is he has a sit down. Paul's grandfather has a sit down with him and tells him that he needs to go out and live a little. Stop reading. Stop sitting there reading a book. And go out parading. Yes. So, I just love that phrase. I'm going to start using that. When someone is just like stay at home and not getting out, you need to be out parading.
Well, there's another word.
Yes.
And I love the British slang, and it's mixer.
Yeah, there it is, mixer.
Mixer, well, I think mixer might not be exactly go out and have a good time, but I think a mixer is someone that likes to mix it up.
Yeah.
We didn't look this up, so.
Yeah, a little good and bad, mixing it up and not all good.
Yeah. And Joanne, my friend Joanne, her husband is British, so maybe he knows. And
get back to us about mixer. Yeah. So back about Ringo. So throughout the... it starts in the beginning about his nose. All three of them, plus the manager, are ganging up on him about his nose. You got a big nose, and it's a problem.
I know, poor Ringo. They keep putting him down.
Yeah. And what else was he? Maybe he was too young, too inexperienced. And so they said, let's make a subplot where Ringo gets a good talking to and gets the advice to get out, and he gets into all kinds of trouble. And that section is called Ringo's Parade.
Yeah. And the song being played is This Boy. We'll get into the soundtrack, but it's one of the orchestrated numbers for when Ringo's out there. He's got a camera. Ringo gets chased by not a horde of women, but two. And the one girl loses her hill.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he goes into some place that sells or buys, or we couldn't figure it out, comes out wearing a trench coat or something.
Yeah. And then later he's taking pictures of himself by the canal, one of the early selfies.
Yeah, he tries to take a selfie.
Yeah, he's got a camera precariously sitting there by the water, and he has an extension cable for the shutter.
Clicker.
Yeah, for the shutter.
And the camera falls.
But then shortly after that, he's walking along the canal, and this 11-year-old boy rolls a tire into him. and it gets behind Ringo, and Ringo falls on the tire.
Yeah.
And Ringo says something about keep going, boy. And the boy says, quote, "I'm packing it in. It depresses me." Like,
maybe the tire was his friend. Like, yeah.
What kind of line is that? I don't know. So here's Ringo feeling down. He's trying to lift up this boy with dirt all over his face. It's very interesting, a subplot there.
But if you only know the Beatles from, maybe you don't listen to the Beatles. I actually encounter people online that say they hate the Beatles, but
they say the Who, and you say no.
And I said to Matt earlier, that's like hating cheese, because there's so many different cheeses.
Yeah. How can you say I hate cheese?
Yeah, that means you hate pizza and
cheesesteaks.
Now my dad, God rest his soul, but he did not eat cheese. He hated cheese. Never ate pizza. Nothing with cheese on it.
Wow.
But we'd slip some cheese in there sometimes. I wouldn't tell him.
Yeah, it's probably a bad experience. He probably choked on a piece of cheese when he was 7 and never ate it again.
Piece of Limburger.
Stinky cheese.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of cheeses you get to choose, and the Beatles, there's just throughout their whole career different variations of rock and roll, the ballads, and then also the heavier stuff later on. Mm-hmm. So it's not like one.
Right. I was watching a video just the other day. Someone said, "Is Helter Skelter the first heavy metal song?" Mm-hmm. It's so raw and rough.
Yeah.
It's grinding.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't really, that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
But, just speaking of the variety of the Beatles, I'm just thinking of that awesome version Madison Cunningham on guitar and her friend on guitar doing In My Life. Listeners, you got to check it out if you don't watch the video. It's just such a great version. She mixes it up with a little change in a note, kind of goes minor on one note, but it's a beautiful
if someone
version.
Could take it and make it without changing it too much, but making it unique to them. And
beautiful.
Now I know we're off subject, but Madison Cunningham, a couple months ago, I had a friend who just discovered, I think, that song because they're a Beatles, like, I want to say freak, but Beatles, which I'm becoming
aficionado
more and more because I'll listen to them almost every day. Mm-hmm. And I think it was yesterday, Glenn Burtnick, who was in the Weaklings, he also played for Styx, and he's been around.
Yeah, he's been around.
He just discovered Madison Cunningham.
Yeah, and
Oh, okay. I did message him. He didn't message me because I didn't really say. I wanted to say, well, if you listen to our podcast, we've been talking about her for a year or more.
On that note, we have to take it a step further here. The band Scary Pockets.
Scary what?
Scary Pockets. Madison Cunningham sings Paul McCartney's song "Arrow Through Me."
That's the song that I think it was Scott Erickson, my friend Scott, who discovered that song.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
got to hear that too, listeners. Check
and
out.
Once you hear her, you'll love her. Yeah,
go ahead and search "Arrow Through Me."
Back to the movie. Let's see. So Ringo, we're talking. He's on the loose. He ends up. How does he get? He gets arrested.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
But what was he doing? No, I forget.
No, I don't know. But right after he's arrested and booked, as he's booked, Paul's grandfather gets booked too.
Comes in the back same station.
Yeah, comes in behind him.
And the grandfather's he wants to do a coup or whatever. He wants to get out of there, of course, and take on, I think, the police.
The whole police department.
Yeah, he's a little wild, the grandfather.
Yeah.
And now, this is what makes us very sad, is that the grandfather, and I knew it when I looked up his age.
Yeah. And this is rough.
But I knew this would happen because I don't know why, but people looked older.
Right. The Beatles are 22 to 24. They already look like they're 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the film. But they're 22. Yeah. So you have this old guy, right?
Yeah, and I'm thinking he's 70s.
Yeah, he looks, I'd say 74 if I had to guess. Yeah.
And he is 52. He's younger than we are.
He's losing his hair. He just looks like a typical grandfather.
So let's see here. Yeah, so what other things can we point out?
So, yeah, just thinking again, don't know if there's more to be said on busting on Ringo. I'm just wondering how real that was. Here it is in the movie. Did they do that in real life too?
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Is it an undercurrent that's not said, and now we can bring it out in the movie and use it as humor?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if, here's what I'm saying, get this. What if Ringo wasn't Ringo? What if the drummer wasn't Ringo? What if the drummer was someone as quote-unquote cool as John? And
Mm-hmm.
Paul, like, what if he was up there? Like, what are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? Someone to bust on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I think he plays a part as a drummer.
You want to believe that they always busted on Ringo because you want to think that they're actually playing themselves. And
yeah,
if you watch the press conferences and stuff with the Beatles, not from the movie, but you'll see they're just saying, like, joking around.
Mm-hmm.
John Lennon is very quick with the comebacks.
The wit, he's quick-witted.
Yeah.
Not only is they're busting on his nose, they're busting on for being short.
Mm-hmm.
The grandfather has the whole thing, the talk about how you need to get out more. So they're busting on for not getting out and about, parading.
Yeah.
But then also the drums, they're busting on for being a drummer. They're making fun of the way he's situating his drums. Something else about the drums.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, poor guy.
I was surprised. There was this Brian Epstein. He wanted to create this persona, though, around that they were clean and that he made them wear the suits. And
I heard the suits from the book that you let me borrow. The suits had false pockets in them, so that they couldn't put the drugs or anything else in the pockets. All those suits had false pockets.
Oh yeah. That was the interview book.
Yeah, but I interrupted you. You were.
Yeah, so...
clean. Brian Epstein wanted them to clean image.
Yeah, and supposedly John Lennon was married at some point, and they covered that up. I don't know how long. It was like his first wife. I think her name was Cynthia.
Oh, yeah, he fell in love, got married, yeah.
It was either her or someone before that, but they wanted them to appear, be single. I don't get that whole thing.
And she was the mother of Julian.
Yeah, they got married. I don't know if they got married in 1964 or when, but it wasn't in the news. John Lennon got married, right? But I don't know the whole mentality of we saw in the movie. We noticed there were very young girls and very young, like 12. Just
like we think that people look older. Somehow they gathered groups of girls that were not 13 to 17. I mean, they looked like they were 9 to 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird. I just thought it was weird.
But what is if one of them was married, like, and say John was their favorite, they would stop buying the albums probably. I mean, it was they were thinking in terms of pure 13-year-old girl. Yeah. And they were all married. Yeah. It wouldn't, like, you could get with them. I mean, come on.
we want the money of the 13-year-old and the 14-year-old girls. I mean, really, it's when it comes down to being about money.
But it was insane. This was during Beatlemania, they called it. And just when they'd go out and play, they couldn't even hear themselves. Ringo didn't even know what they were playing.
Right.
Supposedly.
Well, we heard.
But that's not a good thing to on Ringo's part to say that, because it sounds like he played the same drum patterns then for all the songs. I don't know. I guess you could, I don't know, maybe he could hear something, the guitars, or it just, it kind of baffles me that you wouldn't know what song you were playing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
From Screaming Girls.
Maybe he's just exaggerating a little bit. So like I said, I've seen this movie, might be the third time. I do own the DVD, and it was enjoyable, wouldn't you say?
I found it interesting historically, musically, and for the British humor part of it. I mean, very interesting. Very interesting. I've got here in front of me the top grossing movies of 1964.
Okay.
So this is what it was up against. Again, in 1964, you were not streaming this. There's no electronics. You're going to the cinema. You're not buying it on DVD. You're going to the cinema. So this is what the movie was up against. Mary Poppins, My Fair Lady, Goldfinger, From Russia with Love. You know these movies.
Yeah.
And this is all at the same time here. This is the middle of 1964. The Pink Panther. March 20th, 1964. Viva Las Vegas. Dr. Strangelove.
We just did.
This is
Jeremy
amazing.
and I just did a podcast on Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah,
because it turned 60.
60, yeah. But these titles, these and there's another dozen on here. We know these movies. This is a wild time. The Pink Panther. You got to choose between Hard Day's Night or The Pink Panther. You got to choose between Dr. Strangelove or The Pink Panther. What are you going to spend your 65 cents on, or whatever it costs to go to the movies?
Now there is a link to Goldfinger.
Yeah,
in this movie.
Oh yes,
and it's a person who's in the movie.
I want to hear it.
There was a woman, and this is in Wikipedia, describes her as a buxom woman.
Oh,
with Paul's grandfather in the casino scene. She's sitting next to him.
Yes.
Okay, she was a popular British 1960s pinup model, Margaret Nolan. She also appeared as Dink.
I'm sorry, is that really?
Yeah.
You're gonna be
I didn't know
Dink.
she had a name.
You're gonna be Dink.
The Golden Girl during the opening credits, not in the film, but the opening credits of James Bond film Goldfinger, it says, which came out later the same year. I think the opening credits are seeing this girl painted gold, but there is a different, the main girl in Goldfinger is a different actress, but she was just in the opening.
Right, okay.
But she was in this movie. So she was a girl at the casino.
Yes, I remember the woman at the casino. She didn't smile or say much. She just was, she was kind of there.
Other people in this movie. Now, I don't know these names, and I'm sure people maybe in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking 60 years ago, too, but Norman Rosington, he plays the Beatles manager, Norm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did also find out that his brother was a drummer, still alive, and he was a session drummer, but he was on a George Harrison album, he was on a Paul McCartney album. Cool. So, through association, probably.
Yeah.
John Junkin played the group's road manager, Shake.
Oh, they keep saying Shake.
Yeah, that was the guy's name.
I thought it was go get me a shake, because, go get me this meal, get me some cigs. Yeah, Shake.
Yeah.
I got it now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got this mixed up. It wasn't Norman Rosington's brother. It was this next guy I'm going to talk about. It was the drummer. Victor Spinetti, I don't know his brother's name, was a drummer. He played the television director.
Spinetti. There's a joke in there. Spinetti. I'm missing it. I'm forgetting it. There's a joke. There's a joke in there. I'm not remembering it.
Also, we have some cameos here. These were popular British actors such as John Bluthal, Derek Nemo, David Jansen. When I heard that name, I thought it was the guy from The Fugitive, but it's not. And even a British rower, Rooney Massera. He competed in the 1972 Olympics. He was in the movie.
Rooney the rower.
Yeah. Mal Evans, one of the Beatles' actual road managers, appears in the film. He's moving an upright bass through a hallway. I don't remember that scene. Of course, Patricia Boyd. And then we have a person that will surprise you, surprised me.
Okay.
And he was very young, and nobody knew his name at the time. But let's say he got the part against all odds. There's your clue. Do you know who?
No, I don't know.
He was 13 years old. He played a schoolboy in the concert audience, so he might have been the only boy. Remember you said you saw a boy?
Yeah, all these screaming girls, but there's that one boy,
And his name is Phil Collins.
No way.
Yes. And not to be confused with Phil Collins from Def Leppard, but...
Okay.
Phil Collins.
Yeah, against all odds. So, you're saying that boy, there's a 13-year-old boy that's shown... And it's probably the one I saw and said, look, there's a boy.
Yeah, it says concert audience. So that,
concert audience. Oh, I gotta go back and see that.
Studio.
I guess see that.
Yeah, you gotta see that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Now, this film got a U rating. Do you know what that is? U certificate.
I'm gonna say universal.
Right. Universal, suitable for all. And it actually says a U film should be suitable for audiences aged 4 years and over.
I want to go see A Hard Day's Night, Mommy.
You can go by yourself. You're a big boy now.
I want to see Shake and the man in the sweater.
Just be back by midnight.
Okay.
That's how it worked back then.
I know. Yeah. Call me if you need anything.
Yeah.
We'll see you. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Going to bed at 9. We'll see you.
It also may contain infrequent, very mild language.
Oh.
I don't know.
They said orgy. I did hear the word orgy. And what happened when they said orgy? All 4 guys got up and ran.
Yeah,
they ran out the door to find that orgy.
Well, I did notice it's pretty much G-rated, this film.
Well, yeah.
There's no girls hanging. If you notice, there's no girls hanging off the Beatles.
Right.
Like they're not going out picking up women. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get away from women the whole film.
There's no one grinding, like backing up to them and grinding or anything like that.
It was too many women, So this may also contain very mild sex references. So there you go.
The orgy. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mild violence. We saw a couple people fall down.
Oh, let's talk about that. Wait a second.
Right. Yeah, in the very beginning.
The very beginning, it's the opening scene, and the Beatles are running from girls.
Do you remember who fell? Or?
No, I was trying to pick out. But they land... Oh, it's probably Ringo, because they didn't care.
They probably tripped him.
They probably did. Yeah. But the man in the suit, because they're all wearing suits, a man in a suit goes down and falls on the concrete running full speed, falls down hard onto his body, his face and everything, and gets up and keeps running. I need to investigate that one.
Mild violence, of course, mild sex, if justified by the content. So, I mean, the whole thing's content.
Well, the invitation to the orgy was to who got the surprise.
They're not showing the orgy.
No, but who got all the mail by surprise? It was Ringo.
Yeah, Ringo.
Yeah.
First, they show John getting all this mail,
and Ringo's not getting any.
And then there's a joke about Ringo it must have cost you a lot of money for postage that he mailed all these letters to himself. And then he gets an invitation to this party, and the grandfather puts it in his coat.
Yes. And goes. Well, maybe he goes.
I think they're saying what goes on at these parties.
Yeah.
Or he does. And then he tucks the invitation. Yeah.
The 52-year-old grandfather.
Here's one thing. There was a phrase in the movie called, and I didn't look it up. I should have looked it up what this means. Get nodded.
Oh, get nodded.
Now, the phrase... It said allegedly in reel 7 of the original submission was judged inappropriate for a U film and had to be removed. That's how bad Get Nodded.
Ooh, Get Nodded.
Yeah.
It's like tying a knot, but not really.
It might be to go have sex. I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
No, I think, if you know about dogs, when they copulate, they can get stuck. They get knotted. I think it's like an animal reference there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when the film was submitted for release on VHS, that's a long time ago, the British Board of Film Censors could not locate the phrase, presumed that the clip was pre-cut, but stated that the phrase was no longer of any concern. So by the time VHS came, they didn't care about that phrase. That would have been the 80s, right?
Yeah,
VHS.
Yeah.
Now, this is another interesting thing. Very interesting. We should have it. No, I'm sorry, folks. We have no sound bites on this podcast. We can't do sound bites. Oh, there. Is that Get Nodded?
Get Nodded.
Okay.
Hey, listen, I just found this.
That
You got that look in your eye. I can't even talk when you got that look in your eye.
I keep thinking of that Big Butt song. Get Sprung.
Listen.
I like big, that song.
Yeah. Listen, guess what I just found? I just found this. Check it out. In the film, it's George Harrison that falls down during the opening shot. They're running full speed towards the camera. Mm-hmm. The camera's on the ground, so you're looking like a sidewalk angle from the sidewalk, looking up. And the scene shows the Beatles running fast in London, and Harrison stumbles, causing Ringo Starr to fall on top of him.
Oh, okay.
So Ringo's behind him. Mm-hmm. Once George falls, he falls on top of him, and they get up and continue to run. And of course, it's stated here that was not intended. It was definitely an accident.
He wasn't hurt.
Yeah,
probably had to replace his pants.
Yeah,
because they're clean.
Yeah, okay, I thought you meant
no.
change the diaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So George falls and Ringo falls on top of him, and they kept going. But even if they were hurt, they would keep going, blood and all. It just this is the movies. You got to keep going. Yeah.
I got to warm up because I'm about to do my Paul McCartney impersonation. So before A Hard Day's Night was released in America, a United Artists executive asked, and it says Lester. Did we talk about Lester?
No, not today.
Some guy named Lester.
Not today.
To dub the Beatles' voices with mid-Atlantic accents.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And Paul McCartney angrily replied, I gotta warm up. Oh, this is Paul. Look, if you can't understand a fucking cowboy... that's my Arnold. I have to go into my Arnold. Is this Paul? There we go. Look, if you can't understand a fucking cowboy talking Texan, then how can you understand us talking Liverpool? There we go.
End quote.
Sort of.
End quote.
That's my bad.
No, that was good.
My accent's getting worse. I got to.
No, this is outrageous. You're trying to tell me that someone suggested that they overdubbed their voices in a mid-Atlantic U.S. accent.
Yeah, because nobody would be able to understand them.
That is insane. That is insane. That's the most insane thing I've heard today, and I just watched A Hard Day's Night.
Well, there are a couple parts where it's when they talk fast.
Oh, yeah. Like if you're watching Shakespeare play live, you only understand a half of it. Or
this might be the director. I don't think I have the director's name on here. Because, believe it or not, George is... Okay. It says Lester went on to direct Help, the film.
Are you saying...
So even though he said that...
Lester suggested that.
Yeah. Yes, Lester. He only goes by one name, like Cher. Lester.
Yeah.
Get over here, Lester. So like we said, the film premiered July 6, 1964, and it was on the eve of Ringo Starr's 24th birthday, it says here.
Yeah.
It grossed over 20,000 in the first week. That doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah. The ticket prices were 86 cents, by the way. 86 cents
really?
In average in the 1964.
Nice.
So when you talk in numbers, it's not $13.86 per ticket. It's 86 cents.
Wow. It ultimately became so popular that more than 1,600 prints were in circulation simultaneously. 1,600.
Wow.
I don't know if that's worldwide. Reviews of this were mostly positive.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Saris of the Village Voice deemed it the Citizen Kane of jukebox musicals.
That might not be a compliment. Citizen Kane of jukebox musicals.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got to think about that one.
Well, Citizen Kane, that's a compliment. I don't know.
Yeah.
And when the Village Voice published the results of its first annual film poll, A Hard Day's Night placed second among the films of 1964 behind only Dr. Strangelove. So that was another Dr. Strangelove. Mm-hmm. Which is Stanley Kubrick. Yeah. Now, Rotten Tomatoes. Do you know Rotten Tomatoes?
Yes.
It has a rating, this is insane, of 98%.
Wow.
And it's based on 112 reviews. You'd think there'd be more reviews.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot. Yeah.
So it has an 8.5 out of 10 rating, which is pretty good. I mean, and 98%.
Yeah.
Good reviews.
Also, I just read that Lester... It's Richard Lester. He is the director. The director of this film is Richard Lester. So we want to clear that up. Just being so derogatory, we don't intend to be hurtful to the name Lester.
Yeah. Now, Time Magazine. I don't know if this is good or this sounds bad to me. The way they worded this, one of the smoothest, freshest, funniest films ever made. For purposes of exploitation.
That's a great one.
Yeah. You think you're getting a good review there. But I have here, imagine other artists, not in the 60s, but doing like Nirvana, I have REO Speedwagon, Barry Manilow, yeah.
You mean like imagine them doing a
well, you'd want a group compared to the Beatles, not. Yeah, Barry Manilow was just himself, but early in their careers to build themselves up with a movie Like, say, REO Speedwagon.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'm trying to
there were
picture
more
it.
than 4 people in that band.
Yeah, trying to picture it.
Did kind of a film where they played themselves and they're on the road, and you know, I know there's been films
Running from screaming girls.
Yeah,
And when I say girls, I mean girls, not even women, because these were girls.
but right when they're just breaking, and this movie goes. That's what the Beatles did. They were just they came to America. They just broke, and here's a movie.
Yeah.
To familiarize yourself more with.
Yeah. It was a great promotional tool. It really was.
One last thing here. Where did the title come from? It's a unique title, A Hard Day's Night.
A Hard Day's Night, yeah. Yeah, it probably, it was probably just somebody passing by or not even a member of the band.
No.
I know, I'm kidding.
So it was one of the Beatles.
I know, I did. I know who it is.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, you looked it up.
Okay.
Okay.
I heard it on the...
So,
I think I heard it on a documentary, Apple Music. When you listen to, for our listeners, if you listen on Apple Music to Hard Day's Night, you can also, some of the lower songs are documentaries, some discussions about it from the band. Oh. So, go ahead and let me know.
So it was Ringo who they made fun of.
Ringo's the star. He's just the star.
He is.
Richard Starkey.
Yeah, don't let them put you down, Ringo.
Richard. Don't be a Richard.
So he did an interview with this jockey, Dave Hull, in 1964. He said, we went to do a job and we'd worked all day and we happened to work all night. I came up still thinking it was day, I suppose. And I said, it's been a hard day. And I looked around and I saw it was dark. So I said, night.
Hard day.
So
night.
He added night, hard day is night. Yeah. That's how it came.
Wow. That, again, from working too hard, from staying so busy.
I'm warning you with peace and love, but I have too much to do.
Oh, one more. Let's say I have a couple short things here. I like these things in that there were different countries had different titles for the movie.
This film is called different things.
Yeah.
Huh.
So in Germany and Sweden, it was called Yeah, Yeah, Yeah. I'm not making this up.
It's like yeah. because in the Swedish language, A Hard Day's Night is interpreted as
yeah.
I don't know.
Some of these I'm gonna have a hard time pronouncing. So in Italy, it was tutti per uno, which means all for one.
All for one.
Yeah.
That's better than yeah.
In Finland, it was yeah, here we come. That's maybe where the monkeys got their.
She loves you, yeah. Here we come.
Oh, the monkeys thing.
Yeah.
Here we come.
Walking down the street.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't say yeah. Brazil is Os Reis do Lelele.
And that's Portuguese.
Is the kings of yeah. Yeah.
The kings of yeah. It's almost mocking,
And I think that's all I have here.
Speaking of mocking, in the film, a woman says to Ringo, "Are you a mod or a rocker?" He says, "No, I'm a mocker." Yeah, that's what it is. I think it's a Ringo line again.
And then this is the very last thing on the movie is that the last big get together shindig for the film was back in 2004 for the 40th anniversary cast and crew reunion screening. It was hosted in London by DVD producer Martin Lewis, and McCartney was there, Victor Spinetti was there, John Junkin and David Jansen, and many of the crew members were there.
Yeah. The Spinetti. Does that ring a bell? Listen. Does that ring a bell? The Spinetti. It's a line from a movie.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Spicoli?
Spicoli.
Yeah, maybe it's Spicoli. It's not spaghetti, but it might be Spicoli. Yeah.
So Paul, he said even though he had seen the film many times on video, he had not seen the film on the big screen since its premiere in 1964. So this was nice for him in 2004 to see it again on the big screen. So lastly, we're going to talk about the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
There were 2 soundtracks for Hard Day's Night.
Yeah.
We have the UK and the US. Now, this is the 3rd studio album by the band.
Yeah.
I don't know how, like I said, we mentioned the other releases. I don't know if this might be the 3rd in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
July 10th, 1964, it was released by Parlophone in the UK. That was the UK version, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the American version of the album was released 2 weeks earlier on the 26th of June. Now, they have different track listings.
That's interesting.
The US version has the George Martin's film score, which means that there are instrumental tracks mixed in with the original Beatles recordings, but not duplicated.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because sometimes, I know with some albums you'll have, what was I listening to the one day? I was listening to something the one day, and it must have been extended, and I'm like waiting for the words, waiting for them to start singing, and realize it was an instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 4 instrumentals on the US album. Now, in contrast to the Beatles' first 2 albums, all 13 tracks on the soundtrack were written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after the release of With the Beatles in 1963, the Beatles were at EMI Path Marconi Studios in Paris on January 29th for their first recording session outside of London. And here they recorded the German language versions of their 2 most recent singles.
Very interesting.
I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You.
So you're saying they know German and they're fluent enough to sing it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Now, the title...
Did not know that.
I'm going to speak German now.
She spanks you, yeah.
The titles were Come Give Me Die Hand. That was I Want to Hold Your Hand.
And
Sie liebt dich. She loves you.
She liebt dich.
That's inappropriate. We're going to get shut down. So according to their producer, George Martin, this was done as they couldn't sell large quantities of records in Germany unless they were sung in German. And also recorded in English was Paul McCartney's Can't Buy Me Love, which was completed in only 4 takes.
Wow. Since
Paul was pretty good at English, still took 4 takes.
Yeah.
I added that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
He speaks English very goodly.
Yes. So then I just have, when they recorded the songs, we don't need to know all that. Now, on March 1st, 1964, they recorded 3 songs in 3 hours, which was I'm Happy Just to Dance With You for the film, featuring Harrison on lead vocal.
Oh, yeah. George was singing that one song, and they congratulated him on singing it or something silly like that.
Yeah.
And,
good job,
George, good job, George. I'm surprised.
They did a cover of Little Richard's Long Tall Sally and Lennon's I Call Your Name. Lennon and McCartney wrote the title song A Hard Day's Night, of course, after Ringo came up with it, and it was recorded at EMI on April 16th and mixed 4 days later. So let's look at both versions. This is the UK version. We've got, it's a blue, basically blue and black, and all these slides of different Beatles, which we did see in the movie, but I don't think they're the photos from the movie. I think we saw George in different poses, or different facial expressions.
Yeah, very interesting. And then the back, we have some black and white portraits of them, and of course, Ringo, always last, always in the funny hat.
We have Hard Day's Night, I Should Have Known Better, If I Fell, I'm Happy Just to Dance With You, and I Love Her, Tell Me Why, Can't Buy Me Love. That's side 1.
I see it, yeah.
Anytime at All. I love that song because I like the way they sing it. Anytime at all. I'll Cry Instead, Things We Said Today, When I Get Home, You Can't Do That, and I'll Be Back. That's an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
I'll be back.
And again, all of the words and music are credited to John and Paul.
Yes. So then we have the US version, which is a red, black and white cover, and just the tops of their heads.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Elvis thing, from not the waist on down. We can't see we can't see their mouths in this.
And that's United Artists put that out.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like they're like peeking over something because you just see their black hair and their eyes.
Because they didn't have Photoshop back then.
Yeah, kind of freaky. Yeah.
Or they just cut across and put it together. Kind of cut and pasted.
Oh, I like how on the back here you have all the credits, and then it says right here on the far left, also starring Wilfrid Bramble.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Paul's grandfather.
So the U.S. album went to #1 Billboard album chart. Mm-hmm. It spent 14 weeks there, and the longest run of any album that year. Now, United Artists rushed the album in the stores over a month before the film's U.S. premiere. So as a result, the Beatles had both the #1 album and #1 single in the country when A Hard Day's Night opened in the U.S. on August 11th.
Impressive.
Now, why does it say August 11th? I thought it was July. I don't know what's going on here.
You know what else is interesting?
Oh, I know what we're talking about. The album release was June 26th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What else is interesting? It kind of reminds me of They Might Be Giants. The song length is all listed here on this one. This is the U.S. Release in my hand. Everything is 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
1:59. There's the one that's 3.5 minutes. But almost everything is 2 to 2.5 minutes. Rather brief.
It's 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
I have the totals here.
Yeah, with 12 songs. 40 minutes with 12 songs. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the UK version.
Okay, this is the US in my hand. It's 12, a dozen
this
songs.
This is 29, almost 30 minutes.
Yeah, so it's less than 30 minutes and there's a dozen songs. Yeah, it's just interesting. So well written, excellent tunes, but also not very lengthy.
So as we mentioned earlier, the American version included 4 orchestral instrumental versions.
Right, one is Ringo's theme.
Yeah, so we have I Should Have Known Better and I Love Her, Ringo's theme, which is actually This Boy, and A Hard Day's Night. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned The Hard Day's Night it sounds like something out of, Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Which came later. And also cross between the Peanuts theme, I think. There's
Linus and Lucy.
But it's got a great swinging sound to it. Shagadelic,
It's shagadelic.
Flute is in there. Then Ringo's theme, which is not on of course on the UK version because they didn't really like Ringo, we know, in the UK. And this is when he's being chased, when he's when he's out and about.
Yeah, parading.
Yeah. The US version is A Hard Day's Night, Tell Me Why, I'll Cry Instead, I Should Have Known Better, I'm Happy Just to Dance With You, and I Love Her, instrumental. I Should Have Known Better is instrumental. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, wait. I was wrong because I Should Have Known Better is actually on side 2, not instrumental. So I was wrong with that they didn't repeat songs. We have If I Fell, and I Love Her, Ringo's theme, Can't Buy Me Love, A Hard Day's Night.
Another theme, Rob, is the word love. I was listening to the album on the way over, the studio version of A Hard Day's Night, and I found one song that doesn't say love, lovin' repeatedly. Yeah.
Okay.
And just one song in the album.
Oh, on A Hard Day's Night?
Yeah. Because just love is there. They're speaking about love all over. But I think it's the title track, Hard Day's Night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So interesting tidbit there.
So later in the year, November 6th, a mono EP was released by Parlophone called Extracts from the Film, A Hard Day's Night. And it had, side A was, these were probably songs that were on the American version, but not the UK, I would think, because it's I Should Have Known Better, If I Fell, and then side B was Tell Me Why, and I Love Her. So we did 4 songs. Here's some critics, what they said about the soundtracks. Sputnik's Music's Dave Donnelly observed short, peppy pop songs, characterized by layered vocals, immediate choruses, and understated instrumentation. Music journalist Robert Christgau writes that Lennon-McCartney's songs were more sophisticated musically than before. But, the first 2 albums were a lot of cover songs, too. But, people over time, hopefully get better at what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was a little deeper meanings on the songs. Now, George Harrison played the Rickenbacker 12-string electric guitar, which was a sound that was influential on the Byrds and other bands.
Mm-hmm.
The folk rock explosion of 1965. So this is one of 3 Beatles albums, along with Let It Be and Magical Mystery Tour, in which Ringo does not sing lead vocal on any songs.
Mm-hmm.
And again, no one really likes Ringo at this point. I mean, someone out there likes him, I guess. I was telling Matt before that people thought John Lennon had said this quote, but it...
Yeah, which quote is that?
That Ringo Starr wasn't the best drummer in the world. He wasn't even the best drummer in the Beatles. So, but it's not John Lennon that said it. It was, I think it was a comedian or a bunch of comedians that were imitating the Beatles that said that. But it sounds like something that John Lennon would say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also one of the 3 Beatles albums, along with Please Please Me and Beatles for Sale, in which George Harrison does not contribute to the songwriting.
I wonder if there's, I mean, is John and Paul just so creative that they couldn't even catch up, or is there something else going on? I don't think we'll ever know, but just wondering, how that plays out with.
Well, they were the driving force.
Yeah, just wondering how it played out in practice sessions and jam sessions, writing sessions.
I mean, I think George Harrison was a really great songwriter, musician, or musically. And maybe they didn't, they were, I think it's easier for 2 people to, just like the podcast,
to get together and lead,
than have 3 people
right.
Trying to.
And looking at personality types too, I mean, just as we know them, 60 years later, the personality type, they're directive and they're leaders, they're all out leaders, and we don't want a third leader in there.
It could have been an age thing with George because he was the youngest.
Yeah, that's true.
And didn't want to interject too much.
Yeah, when you're 20, 3 years is a big factor.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the movie Get Back, the documentary.
No, I haven't.
Because then you'll fully understand. That was towards the end of the Beatles. And George actually leaves and says, "You'll find me in the pub."
Yeah, I remember the stories of that.
Yeah, where he left the band.
Yeah, get back to where you once belonged. Yeah.
And the success had begun to open the U.S. market for fellow English bands like the Rolling Stones, the Animals, and the Kinks. Inspired young American groups like the Beau Brummels, Lovin' Spoonful, and others to mount a challenge of their own self-penned material that owed a great debt to Lennon and McCartney. I also think of Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Not many people wrote their own music. The earliest, maybe not the very first, but comes to mind is Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly was so prolific. I think he recorded in the beginning other people's songs, but he wrote such great songs, and he wrote his own songs. He wasn't just doing other people's songs.
Yeah.
You have huge people in music like Frank Sinatra, who I think did write a couple, but I don't think people could even name the songs he wrote. Elvis. I think Elvis co-wrote one song or a couple songs.
Yeah.
But most of his songs were written by Three Dog Night. Yeah.
Right.
As an example. So in 2020, Rolling Stone ranked the album A Hard Day's Night 263rd on the list of 500 greatest albums of all time.
Right.
And then lastly, having been available only as an import in the U.S. in the past, the 13-track UK version of the album was issued in the U.S. on LP and cassette on July 27th, 1987. Huh. So the ones I have there are original releases.
Yes.
So I think that does it.
It was interesting. It was interesting. It was funny at points, and I just love to see the dynamics. Throwing in Paul's grandpa, who was already known as a dirty old man. Let's get the dirty old man and clean him up. I mean, come on. Yeah. Somebody said that, And just to see the dynamics and Ringo, the whole Ringo story, it continues.
Yeah, it was, I wouldn't say it was an enduring film, but they all had their different personalities, but it wasn't mean-spirited.
No, it wasn't.
In that you're like, they made Ringo cry, or they, you know.
But they have to put him out. They have to put him out by the canal after his camera falls in the water with an 11-year-old boy giving. You know, it was, you know, so there's some pretty weird scenes. Yeah.
So if you haven't seen the film, and if you hate the Beatles, you're not going to see the film. We know that. The two people out there, on Facebook.
Yeah, we know who you are.
But if you haven't seen it, see it. Maybe down the road we'll do Help, which is an entirely different movie. Mm-hmm. But this movie will show you what the Beatles were, how they interacted with each other. They're just being themselves. And I don't know. I would say it wasn't that scripted that much.
Right.
I mean, they might have given a couple jokes to tell.
Yeah. They scripted everybody else with how that was going, but I think they gave them a lot of leeway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
So it was a thoroughly enjoyable film.
Yes, it was. And thank you for bringing so much of the info there that you brought to us. All right. Till next time, peoples.
Remember, turn off that TV.
And turn up the music.
Oh, don't worry. The good lads will be back.
You've been listening to No Good Music, intro and exit music by the band 99%. Today's show is produced and edited by Rob J. Lilly and recorded at the Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find No Good Music on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, and almost anywhere you listen to podcasts.